123rd. But like Carlos Nelson said, I cut my teeth here learning about how we transform our own communities right with Greater Auburn Gresham Community Development Corporation. It was that year that was the first Renaissance Festival that has become such a trademark to our community and gathering spot. I do want to quickly let you know just this Saturday, I'm joining my great colleague in getting us ready to go back to school. We are having a back to school event at the old Jewel site on 115th in Halsted from 12 to 5 p.m. I'll have flyers for that. Also, the 26th, we are August 26th. I have a monthly town hall meeting at Woodson Library on 95th Street in Halsted. So, we'll invite you to that. You get updates about how I'm doing in terms of expediting city services. We let you know about upcoming developments, upcoming events, and then of course we have great special presentations by community partners, sister agencies, city departments. And then lastly, I would be remiss again just to not give you the rough boundary 83rd to 123rd, Ashland, Beverly Vincennes on the west side, State, Wentworth, Princeton, Stewart on the east side. So very excited to serve the communities of Auburn Gresham, Washington Heights, Morgan Park, Roseland, West Pullman, a little bit of Chatham, a little bit of that. So thank you.
Yeah, that is a large ward. Unfortunately, we couldn't find some John Cook Elementary School logos where, where Ronnie attended also. Um, yeah, let's keep moving. I'm so excited also to introduce some partners here on my left. You guys have heard a lot about the Green Era campus, the Renewable Energy and Urban Farming campus at 650 West 83rd Street. But then someone just reminded me, hey, Mr. Kenny Doss, who's new to the team, is supposed to be making these introductions. So I'm going to pass the mic, grab a seat, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to thank Erica and Jason for coming. They're from the Green Era campus. Without further ado, here you are.
Thank you, Kenny, very much. Thank you, Carlos, and everyone for coming tonight. I'm Jason Feldman, one of the co-founders of the Green Era Renewable Energy and Urban Farming Campus, along with
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica Allen, and I've been partnered with Jason for about 16 years to develop this project here in Auburn Gresham. I'm also co-founder and CEO of Urban Growers Collective, and really excited to share what this vision is that was co-created with JGDC
1, 2, 3, 4.
over many years, and that is just about to open. At least half of it's about to open.
Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So we'll just sort of give you an overview of some of the things that we're going to cover today, just the mission, the inspiration for the campus, just a lot of slides, but feel free to, chime in if you have any questions along the way. Just kind of for an overview of the campus. Next slide, please. The Green Era campus has transformed 9 acres of brownfield in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood into a vibrant hub for green energy, job creation, fresh produce, small business incubation, educational program, climate change research, and also community gathering. Next slide, please. Prior to breaking ground on this site, it was a 9-acre brownfield. 100 years ago, this was International Harvester. So they used to manufacture tractors here for most of the country. But unfortunately, after they closed and left, they left a very contaminated site. The city parked cars on it for a number of decades, which didn't help. After the city vacated it, folks unfortunately just fly dumped. We got rid of a lot of tires and trash and TVs and all kinds of stuff on the campus. They also chipped some wood there as well for a couple of years. So that's the 9-acre campus. In between those two elevated rails there on 83rd and Wallace, South Wallace, there across from Mahalia Jackson Park, right up the street from Simeon Career Academy. You can sort of see there we've also been working very closely with Simeon on creating hopefully a corridor between Simeon, the Park District, and the Green Era site. So it's just a safe place to traverse for students to learn, to grow, to collaborate with us on the campus. Next slide, please.
This turquoise quadrant right now is some kind of scrap metal, something or another. We have a lot of footage of showing like big piles of metal, strange things being buried there, and it's between our site and the high school. And so it's a space that could be transformed into a little mini, park, an oasis. It's not really feasible to build on for residential or even. It's really a space that could be just a beautiful oasis for our young people to utilize. So we've had this vision for this space, and just want to make sure that you all know that that is something that currently is detrimental, but it could be transformed into something that's an asset within our community.
Great, thank you. We're adjacent again to the Mahalia Jackson Park, and there's a number of really exciting initiatives that we're working on with the park committee as well. I don't know if we've got a slide. We're doing regular meetings just to sort of vision for the park as well, things like edible gardens, edible forests, walking paths, just to more activate the park for the community as well in partnership with the Green Era campus. Next slide.
We are in the process of activating the park advisory board. So if you're interested, there's a slide that'll come up that has a QR code that you could scan with your phone, just to sign up for the mailing list. But I'm sure that we'll begin having those meetings here or at another partner space to really look at how that space can be transformed. And now that we're almost open, and that's been sort of the model of public space, private space, and how that can really activate and make a space safer, especially when there's economic development, there's activities. It doesn't put the burden on the public sector to provide that. And we're demonstrating that in South Chicago, with the Clara Schaefer Park and Urban Growers South Chicago, which we're not going to go into a lot today, but it's just as we've seen that people feel safer when there's an activity nearby that is creating that it just creates comfortability. And so we see the same thing happening here because it's kind of an underutilized park and it's beautiful. And it's Mahalia Jackson's park.
So there's sort of three components to the campus. One is we'll be recycling food waste there. So instead of it going to a landfill, we recycle it at the campus in our big facility, which you'll see all inside. In anaerobic digestion, it's a natural biological process. We're all sort of digesters on our own, where we take in food and we yes. Exactly. We're all, digesting right now, except it's done in the absence of oxygen. So we have a tank in there. There's no oxygen in there. And that allows us to break down all those organics really into two byproducts. One is biogas. We off gas as well, same sort of thing. But instead of that going into the atmosphere, we actually capture that and inject it directly into the grid. So it's a carbon negative version of natural gas coming off. It's called renewable natural gas. So we're supplying a carbon negative renewable form of gas for the community here. So when you pull off, turn on your gas stove to boil some noodles, that's going to be part of those molecules will be the renewable natural gas that we're producing. So creating a renewable, self-sufficient system as well. After you pull all that energy out, you're essentially left with this incredible nutrient-rich organic fertilizer product. There's two components of it. It comes out at about 4% solid, so we actually squeeze it out and have a beautiful compost-like product that we use at Urban Growers Collective to grow more food. So it's truly to have this closed loop system where we, have all this food. Unfortunately, there's always some residual stuff that's, not edible, that we need to recycle as a resource in our community, that we can create renewable energy, help the environment, create nutrients, grow more food, create jobs to make, our communities more self-sufficient, to have that true circular economy. Next slide, please. And really, a big part of our mission is just sort of the crossover of how all these pieces intersect together with the environment, with community, with food, with creating jobs, to really sort of make this a cohesive system, and why we call it a campus, because it's a learning opportunity to connect, whether it's with Simeon, secondary education, elementary schools. It's an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to work together around food. I mean, who doesn't love food, and getting good food that we're growing in the community. Next slide, please. So again, these are the different components of the investment in the Green Era campus. One is the digester that actually recycles the food waste. We've got a 4-acre urban farm that'll be going in later this year. We're going to also have the next phase will be a retail nursery and food stand, educational training showcase, and really that place to come and learn and grow, to really understand how do all these different pieces connect together. The educational center will really be that place to learn about it, to learn about new job opportunities that is created as this new circular economy. Next slide, please. And really just, Green Era is sort of a model for a circular economy, a closed loop system between connecting really, our organic waste, renewable energy, local food production, all with community benefits. Anaerobic digestion, again, we're only focused on food waste, so we're only taking food waste in our project into the digester, and this is sort of the two byproducts that come out. One is in renewable natural gas, and again, goes directly into the grid, just like, the building is connected to the gas grid and pulls off, we're just pushing on. And then that nutrient-rich product that'll be used in urban ag applications. And this is a very safe and proven technology. There's thousands and thousands of digesters out there. Most of them process wastewater. The problem with that is that the byproducts of that contain heavy metals, PFAS, all kinds of stuff because you're taking everything that goes down the sewer, everything you flush down the toilet. What's different about ours is that it's just food. So you get an incredibly organic back-end product with our project. You see a lot more of these types of projects in Europe, and the reason you see them there versus here is because they don't have the landfills place. We have sort of the luxury here of just burying a lot of this stuff in holes and throughout the country, whereas in Europe they don't have that same luxury, so they're forced to sort of be more innovative, be more recycle more of their things, whether it be organics, glass, or paper. They do a much better job because they're forced to do it, but we can benefit from that technology, utilizing it here, which is very safe and proven.
So all of this really started with urban agriculture. So 20 years of proving that food production belongs in our cities. I think many of us who are a little older grew up with having urban gardens. They're people's backyards. People would share food. People brought that knowledge through the migration into this community and many others throughout Chicago. So the idea that growing food in our city is something that's new is untrue. But doing it safely and consistently and being able to secure our communities to always have food access and to have food sovereignty, that we can control the kind of food that we eat and the nutritional density of the food that we eat, is critical for health. And also, it's part of our human story, right? We were exploited for our ability as people of color, for our ability to grow food, and to be able to use that as a healing tool to re-engage youth, both in the skill sets of agriculture, but to reclaim our stories and our narratives. So I've always, throughout my work, used urban ag and food systems and art to be able to tell those stories. I'm giving y'all the next part a little segue, but it's really a multi-generational approach. This is tech, right? This is this thing, but once you understand it and visit and see what it is, it's really not that complicated. It makes so much sense. And to be able to mitigate and impact environmental racism, environmental injustice, and to actually be the epicenter for how communities respond to climate change is the catalytic um, opportunity that we presented, I don't know, 7 years ago, through the quality of life plan, to really think about public health. We're in a health center, multi-level, multi-service health center. The flip of it is the environment, the built environment, and how we can mitigate that through our own spaces. So being able to have the material to do things like this. This was a project that we did in Woodlawn. You see all that compost. Weren't growing food. We used this material that came from MWRD. I would never grow food in it, but it was great for growing grass, growing sunflowers, to be able to really provide our young men an opportunity to do restorative justice. So taking this material, being able to train folks how to work together and utilize this as a tool to also beautify and green our neighborhoods. And so we were able to displace some of the challenges that were happening, some of the hot spots. The READY program worked really closely with the Chicago police. So we would come and do our work and it was transformative and safe for the men who were transforming their lives. So that's really the reasoning behind why we do our work. This is a garden called Art in the Farm that I've been designing and we've been growing in since 2005. This is in Chicago's front yard. So the idea that it was challenging from the beginning because I'm like, okay, we can do this in downtown. We need this in every one of our neighborhoods. Our young people need to grow up seeing what people have downtown in their summer workforce development, job, and then being able to have the skills exposed, but also seeing and valued in Chicago's front yard. Let me take now it's in my community. This is valuable. You have business people walking by and say, "Well, I wish I could do what you're doing." Just reframing something that was used to terrorize us and we're still healing from, to transform that in our minds. So when I started this work, it was slavery, and those are the tropes that would come up. Now it's food sovereignty, and we want to control our food system. And so all of this work leads us to be able to have these aha moments with our young people to realize where food comes from. To pull up this thing that looks like some grass or some weeds, and pop, there's carrots. And that's magic for our young people, but it also gives them place and understanding and purpose, and that their efforts actually contribute to their own future. So that's why this project is important. It's not just let's just come in and extract some stuff and do some, all of those things that we've had to hear over the many years are legitimate fears because that often happens. But this is really an evolution of work over many, many years. And we know the demographics. We know, this is why we do our work. This is the collective approach. I've heard this a couple times just before the presentation. In Alderman Moore, we can't do it alone. It's a collective effort, and we need to secure. We saw through the pandemic how challenging it was to get the kind of food that we needed here and other communities, and how fragile our supply chains are, how fragile our energy systems are, and the more we can control these things and also create economic systems and make them profitable without exploiting people and the environment is what we're working to solve for. Go to the next. So just giving a little, this is the kind of our theory of change, as an organization and why the digester is so critical. Go to the next. I probably have no time lapse, so I'm kind of hustling this up a little bit so y'all can see these pictures. But you get the flavor. You can send me on Career Academy students. So on Fridays, we're gonna yeah. Can you go back to the so this bus pops up. It goes to 13 different sites across the south and west side, primarily on the south side, and we're gonna be starting on Fridays at 2 p.m. at the health center across. Yeah, for 2-hour block, and you can SNAP benefits. We do double value. It's a produce aisle on wheels, and also products from Black and Brown entrepreneurs, food and other kinds of basic dry goods. The design for this, I got 2 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna hustle it. Okay, so Simeon Career Academy Architecture, STE helped us, CTE helped us design the campus, like not the digester, because that's a whole engineering feat of amazingness, but the actual campus, that's the farm and the ecological area and the buildings. And this is right when the pandemic started. You can see the evolution of what Jason and I used to kind of explain the quadrants, the digester, which are the tanks, the building to keep all the odors and make it just a, very like next level receiving area for food waste, and then the food production and ecological area. And the students saw this and they were like, we can't have just that big old pound there. We've lost all this space. And they decided to do boardwalks. They wanted a food pyramid. They wanted people to be able to walk across this thing and have this experience. It was just, and they were kind of like mad that we had taken so long to actually present something that made sense. And we're excited. So I'm excited for those students to see their vision manifest, because that's what we need to see. We need to see our young people growing up with tech that they can understand at whatever level or creative, gift that they have, that they can see that being part of this new era, which is why it's called Green Era. Also, Jason was generous and allowed me to use my initials for part of the name. So, um, and this is where we're at. Like we're very ready to be open, and our system works. But I also wanted to share this timeline, how long it's taking, to do complex problem solving, to do the hard work, to grow the food, to distribute it with very little resources, and to create an actual urban ag culture within our city. I worked with my dad. I came back and got trained, so I'm very much about apprentice and eldership and the wisdom that you gain from trials and errors, and how that culture and reclaiming that is how we grow as community, so that we can have cohesion and that we can all thrive. So these guys are real excited to take these green tomatoes home, to get them prepared. Different people in their families, but just that joyful moment that we can actually have all of these pieces, combat all of these issues that we are all very, very familiar with, but with a solution, a way that we can actually feel and change it, and not just talk about what we want to see, but actually build it and do it. And I just want to be able to, it's, I want to be able to do this as the norm. We can keep going. I'm already into farm stands, so you can just see these pictures because I'm all the time. For us to see this kind of work, to see the partnerships, the amount of heavy lifting that Jason has done, and to keep this vision whole, to not have it go in some like other way, to keep it as we've all conceptualized it as a partner. So he is very trusted, and keeps me very calm, because some of the barriers we faced have been the barriers that we face, and I get real irritated because it's food and like these important things, and we want to understand how to address structural violence. Why are the kids acting like this? Well, how can we create opportunities where young people, like members of my staff who are senior, who started off not on the right road, but through farming and hard work and consistency, are now experts in this work and can speak to their experience and build more and more of that kind of mentoring. So just want you all to just know that we're almost there, and we have a lot more work to do, and you're all welcome to come through and join and work with us. There's a couple slides. There's with QR codes that if you want to scan, you can sign up to visit, and to also for our newsletters to find out more. And of course, we'll be sharing information through JGDC and the wards that are present, and other community communication methods, so that more and more of us can be part of this emerging industry. Thank you.
So thank you, Erica. Thank you, Jason. It was very educational. Am I the only one who learned a lot? Learned a lot. Yeah. So from online. Yeah. So we were gonna take some questions because we know Erica has to leave. All right. We're gonna be time sensitive. Okay. That's yeah. So we. Nah, it's fine. Yeah. So we were gonna open it up for a few questions before Erica leave. We were gonna pass the mic around. We have some questions online.
Test
so
one,
before
two.
we
Check
got
one,
any
two.
questions in the crowd first?
Check
Anyone?
1, 2.
It's very educational. I know
Two,
I have a
test.
lot of questions.
Right here. Hold on.
Just a couple of questions. On one of the earlier slides, it showed that community ownership was one of the benefits. And how exactly is that? Will cooperatives be offered, or what? How exactly will that work? And then my other question is, in terms of what you're planting, will fruit trees be included?
So and the community ownership, the largest Class B equity owner of the anaerobic digester, Green Air Sustainability's, what's the actual ADC, is Greater Auburn Gresham. So that is, and then UGC owns a chunk as well, so that not-for-profit, like the success of the business helps us do this work to help generate more and more business. So the circular economy piece is within the nature of both the digesters technology, but how the funds are flowing. So there's a reinvestment piece already built in. We're actually in the process, one of our and that we're all learning what is it, what's a cooperative business? How do we do this? Can not-for-profits be shareholders? So those opportunities to learn about cooperatives will be part of when we have the community education center built. We'll be hosting those because like I own a little bit of your company, you own a little bit of mine, and the workers, the people doing the work, they have a say in what's happening. So we really see that as something that um, that we really see that as the future of where we're going. And then we want to make sure that young people have opportunities to be exposed to different business models so that they're able to thrive as well and work together. So we're not just creating the same systems. And there was one other question, the green infrastructure. There's opportunity for the city of Chicago to change its landscape ordinance to include edibles and planned developments and other projects that have climate resilience built into them by the actual project. So we want to, of course, grow fruit trees and nut trees, indigenous like berries and all kinds of things to restore the habitat and to use it as an education tool and as a source of the plant material so that we're able to build climate and storm resilient gardens and be able to really, really rebuild that canopy and all of the edibles that go with it. So there's some permaculture opportunities or, kind of native habitat restoration, all of those things. And so that big open space that the vision from one of our early sessions in the Saturday 21st Ward, we would meet after and just vision around what this space could be. One of the elders wanted a safe place to come and walk, and that had beautiful flowers, and that they could just come and sit and rest in a safe place. So I mean, heartbreaking, but also yeah, that makes sense. So even though we're next to a park, so the fact that we've integrated, and the youth came up with the same thing. So we have like a walking path that'll have little kind of seating areas that'll be, you can pick some fruit, you can, just be in nature in this like, well, we're also processing food waste, because it actually does make sense, and it's a model for how we can have all of these things coexist in our community, and be self-sufficient. So great question, and yes. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions here? I believe we have questions online, right, Susie? Have a couple of questions. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we'll get back to who's ever online. So thank you, Erica and Jason. We really appreciate it. So next we have Mr. Tour for the Auburn Gresham apartment development updates. So if we could give him a round of applause, he can.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My presentation is going to be a lot less interesting than Erica was. But I've been knowing Erica for a really long time, and she's been at this work for a really long time. Let's give her and her organization another round of applause. And thank you, Carlos. Let's give this whole host team a round of applause for hosting us here tonight. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate the support. And I got to tell you, I'm a real estate developer. I've been developing across the city for a real long time. And there are not a lot of aldermen that are pro-development, but these two are. So thank you all for being pro-development and letting us get stuff done. I'm gonna start my clock because I'm gonna be very brief on mine. So I'm Tori Barrett. I'm the principal of Imagine Development Group. Also, Matt is here from Evergreen. So my company is a 50-50 joint venture with Evergreen Development under the leadership of David Block. And I'll tell you, thank you, Auburn Gresham, first, because we presented a design initially that you all didn't like. And we went back and forth several times until you all pushed us to come back with something that you approved of. And so that's what community development is all about. It's not about developers coming in, developing something that we want to see. It's about working with the community and understanding what you want to see. You're the ones that have to live here and deal with it for the rest of your life. And so hopefully, I believe we got it right. At least we got the approval to move forward. And so the project overview, it's a 58-unit development. There's two buildings, one 757 West 79th Street, which is on the corner of 79th and Halsted, and the other one is 838 West 79th Street, which is right across the street from here, 28 units. It's 100% affordable, and again, people, affordable is meaning that it's for folks that live in a neighborhood that have a certain income can be able to afford to live in this particular project. And so it's income restricted, 60% of the area median income. Rents are set at $945 for a one-bedroom apartment, $1,103 for a two-bedroom, and $1,350 for a three-bedroom. The commercial and community service space will be occupied by, so my business partner in Imagine is Fred Spencer, him and his wife Prateet. They own a West African food company called IO. If you're in Jules, Mariano's, any of the grocery stores, if you go to the frozen food section, you'll see it. They started the company about 5 years ago, and they're moving their headquarters to the 835 building. So they'll take up the majority of the retail space in the building across the street. They'll also have a test kitchen in the building, and they'll be open so that the community can come in, test the food that they're making, and they're also hiring directly from the community as well. In the other space at 79th and Halsted, my wife and I will be taking all of the retail space there. I started a nonprofit called the Cleo Center, KLEO. I lost a sister about 15 years ago to domestic violence. Her name was Cleo, so that's why I started the organization, and we're a youth empowerment organization. We employ about 300 youth a year in the Washington Park area, and so we're opening up a second location in that particular building. And so we'll be running summer programs, we'll be running job programs again for young people, and then we'll also be running some programs for adults. The other space in the 79th and Halsted building, that won't be the name of it. The Park Supper Club is a restaurant that we own in the Washington Park area. We haven't come up with a name for this one yet, but we want to work with the community to hire directly from the community for a new restaurant that we want to bring to that particular location. We're activating the space so that the windows can open, so that we can, hopefully with the support of the aldermen, have outdoor seating as well. But if you haven't been by the Park Supper Club, you should come by us on 55th and Michigan. We have a really popular brunch on Saturday and Sunday morning. All of those things we want to bring to this particular location. I'm a part of a restaurant group that owns and operates about 6 restaurants throughout the city of Chicago. So this is what the building across the street looks like if you're facing west at the entrance to the east. Next slide. And this is what it will look like once it's completed. So again, in this retail space right here is where IO will be going. And I'm not sure if we have it in the renderings, but if we do, it'll come up next. But there's an opening. Go back to the future. There's an opening that you'll walk through, and there'll be a little courtyard for outdoor seating. We're also going to program the rear of the building for residents that have children to be able to have a play area for them as well. Next slide. This is what it currently looks like. If you go out the front door, we're going up, and we're going to be closing it up soon. GMA is our contractor. You heard the Alderman talk a little bit about them in the beginning. It's a black-owned firm hiring black folks in black neighborhoods. And the other thing that I like about GMA is that they're on schedule and on budget. We had a huge issue when we first opened the ground. A serious change order to the tune was about 600,000. 1.2 million. So I was halfway there, but we had a 1.2 million issue as soon as we opened up the ground. I'm sure Carlos probably had some issues, and Eric and them probably had some issues as well. But through working with the city, we were able to get some additional subsidies to make sure that we could finish the project on time and on budget. Next slide. So that's the view looking towards the north. Next slide. That's the rear of the building. And again, this is the first site, site one. Next slide. And this is what site two will look like at the corner of 79th and Halsted once it's completed. So this is Halsted here. So here's where the Clio building will go. Clio will occupy this space where it says coffee house now, and then on the corner will be the actual restaurant space. And again, these windows will open. Hopefully we'll have outdoor seating on the Halsted side where we set the building back a little bit so we can have some extended sidewalk. Next slide. This is from the east. And again, you have the community center here. And this is existing, right? Oh, well, this is what's programmed, right? So we'll have balconies in this particular building too, and it'll be 5 stories. So this building will have house the 30 units in this particular building. And this is what the current building looks like right now. Next slide. Project Milestone. Yep, we started construction in January. The website will be online in September. A lot of people have been emailing me, calling me, texting me, asking me how do they get on the list. On the list, what did you say? Yeah, on the list. And so, and the website will be online in September of this year. Construction is supposed to be complete in fall of 2024. We are on schedule to meet that. Pre-leasing for resident units will start December of next year. And then the restaurant and IO space will be opening in the winter. We have put in a request for funding. I think it just went in yesterday, and hopefully we'll get those funds so that we can build out the 2 retail spaces. Next slide. That is it. Thank you. And any questions? All right. If not, thanks. Yes. Her question was, she thought the restaurant was going to be in the first building, which is directly across the street from here. That is not the case. That will be the headquarters for IO, and their test kitchen will be in that space.
And initially, that was that conversation. But again, as we've been doing throughout this process, when we get feedback from the community, they thought it was best that it go on 79th Street. And so as we listened to that feedback, because initially when we started this process and we were going at it, the supper club was going to be across the street. But we got more feedback from the community. Their recommendation was, hey, we'd rather have the supper club on 79th Street, and the developers listened.
Yes, sir.
Did I see the property between?
No, we only have the project directly across the street, and then on the southeast corner of 79th and Halsted.
So what's happening is that on those cities vacant lots, and what you're seeing the city working with this organization called Summer Corps, putting fences around those to make sure that those are passive places or passive parks or whatever you want to call it, for community use, so that we're not just looking at a vacant lot, so that we can reach out to developers to that point and encourage development there. As these 2 projects coming up, I've already had people reach out having some, interest, but Imagine, Evergreen Imagine may even end up doing something on there. But trust, as these come up, I'm looking for the 78th Street to be redeveloped as well.
And let me also say we have programmed that lot that you're talking about for future development, and that we will be presenting to the alderman as well. And we have an excellent architect that's already done some drawings for us. Thank you for your, yes. We do have a vision for it. That's why I encourage you to go by, take a look at Park Supper Club, which is located in Washington Park. There's the Bronzeville Winery that's located on Cottage Grove. So it's going to be a feel similar to that. But we definitely want community input on that. So I would say probably around the March, spring timeframe, I'll be reaching back out through the alderman's office to have some more community meetings around the restaurant in particular. Yes. Absolutely. So Cleo, we do a ton of programs. One is After School Matters Performing Arts program. So we have the young people that come to the center directly after school. They learn how to read, write, produce, and then sell their music. The other program that we have is an employment-based program. So we hire them, we train them, and then we have partnerships with Walgreens, Habitat for Humanity, different restaurants, different businesses throughout the city, and we place them at those businesses. We pay for them, but we place them there for a 6-month project so that they can learn how to operate at a job. And then the hopes is that the partners that they're working for will then pick them up for full-time jobs. A lot of the other projects that we do are project-based to where they go beautification projects, similar to like what the alderman was talking about. And then we have it started off with a program with the Chicago Department of Health. It started off as COVID contact tracers. So our young people were actually going out doing the contact tracing. Now that COVID has gone down a little bit, they're more of a resource center. So you can call the center if you need help with food, rent, all those types of things. Our young people have access to those resources. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. So as we move on down the list, the next speakers that we will have are artists, and this is I feel like kind of special to me because this was the first event that I took on my plate. It was the first thing that I had, and it kind of opened up my horizon to art and what's going on in the community. So we have Reimagine Save a Lot, the murals, and we had the artists who were picked, and we wanted to not just have them come with their concepts, but make it a more inclusive feel with the community, with the murals that we putting on the inside and the outside of the Save a Lot that's coming here, 7908 South Halsted. So if we could give a round of applause for our artists, we'll let them introduce themselves. You guys can come up. Really appreciate you.
Testing 1, 2, check 1, 2.
Well, I just 7908 South Halsted, where the Reimagine Save a Lot will open up soon this year. We call it here in Auburn Gresham Reimagine because reimagining, Save a Lot was an old, dusty, tired brand. But here in Auburn Gresham, the community is participating in really bringing a store that we are reimagining how we want it to look, to feel, to operate. We meet weekly. Alderman Moore is a part of that design team, if you will. GAGDC, St. Sabina, other Auburn Gresham neighborhood networks. We meet with the Yellow Banana folks. So the only thing we're missing is an equity stake, but this store will look like a store that is being led by the community, from hiring, from the art that's on the exterior and interior of the building, from a host of other, from the vendors that will have product placement in the store. So unlike the other 7 stores in Chicago, this one here in Auburn Gresham is a reimagined Save-A-Lot.
Before the artists go, if you look to the back, we have outside mural, inside mural. I'm gonna come around and pass out sticky notes. Like we said, we want you all to be inclusive to this project. So as they talking, maybe you have any concepts, ideas, or things that you want to see, so that you could be a part of what's coming to the community. So I'll pass out sticky notes while they're giving their introductions.
Okay, so my name is Gary Clemens. I'm an artist, Southeast Side steel mills, and it has affected the kind of work that I personally do. I'm a sculptor, and so I also do standalone forms of artwork, which you would be able to actually see as you go closer to the lakefront in the Southeast community. So working hard as artists, we try to envision what a community wants in their neighborhood. So here you have the sculptures. This is part of the urban tree concept, which was done on the commercial strip between 89th to 90th and Commercial. This is kind of a unique, well, just real quick, this is kind of a unique project because it involved not just my crew of artists and in the production of the steel form, but also other artists within that community were able to be a part of the public art process. And so their panels, these panels actually come from Southside artists who collaborated with us in this project. So it's one of different things. I mean, okay, we can, I guess, move on if we have time.
You are.
Oh, okay, okay. And so, yes, so this is the Urban Tree Project, and a form of it might be considered perhaps for this community. Some concepts need to be looked at and discussed, and of course, you would be involved. Here is a project where Norma and Cain and Carlos agreed to have properties that were vacant, that were just basically debased, turned into something that can really create a symbol for the neighborhood. And of course, the Adinkra symbols always had empowering visual impact. And so with the suggestion of GAGDC, we did this project. And while doing the project, we were really encouraged by the people that drove by, including policemen. There were business people stopped. What are you all doing? And so we knew that it was something that the neighborhood needed, along with the fact that Carlos said, you know, we need to invigorate. And I was told even encourage some business in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, it's no longer in existence. There was a fire, but this was the result that we did. This here is a project that I was involved in, and it was at a health center on Wilson Avenue. It is currently being, the additional work is being done to it, but as you can see, panels were placed in a style, and the various circles indicated the cultures, nationalities, and various syntax of that community. And so as artists, we have to come up with this vision to represent individual, and that's a task. It's not easy. So this is one of those projects that I was happy to be part of. This here is in the southeast side. This was a Aztec Mexican food store. They also have an African Mexican store, which is very popular in the neighborhood over on Commercial. We did this some years ago, around 2015, and it was for Macias Produce. And it is a floating panel mural. And it uplifted that particular culture. But of course, we did, I threw in a little bit of my own little Africanization in there to represent that that community also has a mixed contingent. Here was the Casa Kirk row of buildings. These are apartments, and this is managed, I believe, through the um, Claretian Associates. And these were sculptural forms that are still there today, some 7 years later, here today, that adorn the edges of the building. So I actually engage private properties and businesses to consider art that develops their identity. And of course, more urban trees, which each tree, there were 5 of these in actuality. And then later on, the alderman and the city gave me an opportunity, along with a few other artists, to create what was called the Talking Tree, and that is located at the Skyway of 94th and Commercial. Oh, there he is. Yeah, this is this here is a vision of what is the first step in a series of steps to consider. Here, the crowning piece. If you were to walk up to this piece, there are several pieces that are attached to it. Those were artwork that was produced from artists from the Sky Art um, program that is in this community, as well as individuals from the Epic Academy High School on 83rd and South Shore. And so that was one of the pieces. Here was a rendering of something where I thought could be useful, or a concept for the Save a Lot. Trying to modernize the idea, the aesthetic of presenting not just fruits and vegetables, but a focus on culture. And so I thought that these might be an appropriate possibility for that wall. It shows the key element of the fruits and vegetables, but in this project that's being considered, I thought that I would put geometrics and grounding principles that are found in African art, in Hispanic, in various cultures, and try to engage that with this aspect, and then place this in strategic areas on the side of the building. And in actuality, uh, uh, I have some actual physical mock-ups that I brought, that if you're interested, I could place them somewhere that they could view them and get a little bit more, if that's, look at that. Yes, yes. Yeah, I could pull that.
How y'all doing? My name is Pugs Adams. I'm representing myself and Damon Lamar Reed. We have a group called Murals Are Us. We have like over 300 murals in Chicago, and we travel around the country painting as well. Co-founder of the Inglewood Arts Collective, and I'm really happy to do this project. I do a lot of work with Dion's Dreams. I paint all his refrigerators, and we do some food pantries as well. So I'm just really more interested in seeing what you guys come up with and how we can make that into the beautiful piece of art that you'll have at this grocery store. And I brought a couple books that I'll sit up here if anybody wants to look at stuff to get some ideas. And yeah. Yeah, and this is all of our work. Yeah.
People of this community of Auburn Gresham. And especially for that outside wall, what's important to me, but you all make sure you put your own ideas down. But there's nothing like for me to walk down the street and see either one of your faces up there carrying some groceries, or interacting in your community. I and 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 brightness. I think brightness is what we need in this community when we're talking about, especially along 79th Street and everything. And so I just want to make sure that that's kept in mind from a vision standpoint. And you all may think of something else and that I'm not thinking about. So please make sure you put your ideas. But for me, there's nothing like not just ordinary people, but the people from this community, faces that you recognize. There's nothing like for me if I was to see a picture of Miss Love up there, something like that. Some of our young people that are even present here, Tatiana and her flowers, which we need to be selling her flowers at a Save a Lot. Don't. Okay, and so all of that is very critical to me. People cannot be what they cannot see. And so, but I'm excited. I think all of you artists bring something to the table that I'm pretty much excited about. Thank you.
Hey, how you guys doing today? So my name is Joshua Cintron. I'm actually a graffiti artist from the south side of Chicago. I'm originally from the southeast side, from South Chicago, but I actually live here in Auburn Gresham. I actually work for GAGDC as well in the urban green team. So yeah, definitely very proud of that. It's always good to be in the corridor, walking around, cleaning, making sure everything's safe and good. So I am a graffiti artist. Every time people hear that term graffiti, there's always like a negative connotation right away. So obviously it did start off like that in my early teen years, just doing graffiti in the streets. But throughout my life, as I got older, I've been able to take it to a more professional level and been able to just paint all over the city, do a lot of youth work, and just change a lot of dynamics in neighborhoods. So I'm just being able to bring that to the table here. Show that graffiti is more than just spraying letters. It's always about aerosol art. We could do faces, all kind of art, flowers, anything. So I'm excited to be part of the project, to be able to bring that dynamic in. If you guys look around in all types of major corporations, graffiti is really trending too. So I would, it's just a privilege and honor to be able to bring that and incorporate that to the art here. But yeah, as you can see, this is just a lot of the work that I've done throughout the city and the South Side.
Thank you, guys. Um,
Don't put me on a mural. For sure, don't put me on a mural. But people, in those of you that are online, please put in the chat some of the things you'd like to see on a mural. For sure, I would like to see some collard greens up there because I just really love collard green. And Kenny, you had a great idea too about yellow banana, because one thing that they cannot do, that may not have been mentioned today, is they cannot change the brand of Save-A-Lot. They are Yellow Banana Save-A-Lot store. So the Save-A-Lot will stay there. But Kenny, you had an idea about something you would like to see?
like I said, this was one of the first projects that came on my plate when I got here. Um, so I was thinking about the culture of Auburn Gresham, maybe adding some street signs, some Dinker symbols, just things that remind us of the community whenever we walking past. So that's what I was thinking. I also was thinking about the fruit. If you could go to the fruit. So something to just pop out that look live and colorful, because the store is dark. It's a dark colored store. So something that just brings life to it, that just pops out, no matter what time of the day it is when you're driving past. So, and then I know Miss Norma said about the banana, because the name of the company is Yellow Banana. So I was thinking about a banana being the harness that holds everything up, all of the fruits, the vegetables, and everything like that. So I don't know. That was just some of my ideas. Yeah. Yeah. So I just found out what that is. It's called Steel Art, Still Life, Still Life. Yeah. Do we?
So the question was, it looks 3D. That's just the way the shadows are made.
So your question was?
Is there any way that you could arrange it to where everybody could vote on it? There's no way to do that.
Yeah, so that's why we are putting the ideas that we have on the mirror. We also have a sign-in sheet that I could send around as well for anyone who wants to be a part of the next meeting, so that we could reach out once the artists come up with the different concepts and designs, so we could take a vote. So this is all of our project.
I say this, even though looking at the pictures, and the pictures are phenomenal.
Speaking to the mic.
Even though looking at the pictures are phenomenal, and that's for just a mural. But I would want to go even further. Instead of having a picture that looks good, I want to have food in the same aspect that tastes good. You know what I mean? A look is something, but food in our area that look good and taste good, that brings on the people. You know what I mean? And that's why I make my stand. My name is Cecil Smart. I'm with the Pit Bros. We've been here. We've been in this area for almost 2 years. And when I'm looking at everything that's growing in this Auburn Gresham area, I would love to set foot. Like everybody looking at pictures, and the pictures like, oh wow, this food look amazing. Oh, this food, oh wow, that looks great. I'm telling you, I want to put our head in the ring and say our food is amazing, and our food, it looks better than it tastes. And I want to see what can we do in this area that make us beneficial to this
Gotcha.
Auburn Gresham area.
Check.
You know what I mean? And that's why we've been here 2 years. That's why we've been trying our best to put a foot in this ring right now. So
Say
I
less.
love the murals.
Say
I love
less.
that.
We got you.
But that's what I want to do.
So, because you heard me mention product placement from local. we got
Absolutely.
you. And in fact, the CEO might be on Zoom, so I'm sure he's heard you as well. But stand put, stay geared up, because we're going to be bringing you guys together. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. For those who didn't understand, so there will be 2 murals in the Save a Lot. One mural will be in the inside, and one will be on the outside. So we're trying to come up with 2 different concepts of what we would like to see. And also, I'm going to circulate this sign-in sheet so we can reach out to anyone who want to be a part of the mural process. If you have ideas, being able to reach out to you for the next meeting that we have with the artists, so that you can see what concepts we came up with. So do we have any more questions?
For those that would like to see the handmade mock-ups, it's in the kitchen area. If you just wanted to walk through, I can answer any questions. I'm assuming Pugs might show your visual. You already got your visuals. Yeah, okay.
Let me mention really quickly. So this is the east elevation, which means this is the side that's facing Halsted right here. So reimagine, but so imagine this is Halsted right here. this is, facing Ada's Liquors, this side, so this is the east elevation. This would be the south elevation facing the parking lot, right? You guys got it? Facing south toward where the Sandpiper Lounge used to be. Although I digress. Show of hands. Who thinks that it would be better to have the mural on the south elevation facing the parking lot or on the east elevation facing Halsted? Now, there's a row of windows here, right? And then there's the J&J Fish at the end of that wall. So show of hands, who thinks the south elevation facing the parking lot would be better? Okay.
So what part of the, in case y'all didn't hear me, it's, it seems like a large portion of that east-facing wall will be covered and blocked by that red canopy there. Will that be removed? Because a large portion, if it's on that side of the mural, will be kind of invisible or not very well seen.
This is just a rendering of a Save-A-Lot. This is not how our Save-A-Lot, our reimagined Save-A-Lot will look. It has all the glass right here, so that canopy won't be there.
Okay, and then my other question, 1A, is instead of this or that, can it be this and that?
Well,
can I say that again?
No, I hear you.
A wraparound mural. How about that?
I got you, but if you think, all right, so 3 options. But I will just say, if that was my pocketbook, at 25 to 30 bucks per square foot of art, that adds up really, really, really quickly. And unless we could get, we being the community and the owner, could get some subsidies from DK's Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, that would be probably a tough pill to swallow. But we will do the 3 options. Speak it into existence. Crystal Stevenson from the UIC Neighborhood Center. Okay, once again, south elevation, facing the parking lot, facing the Sandpiper Lounge, formerly it was Sand, or the east elevation facing Halsted, facing Ada's Liquors, right over here. If those were the only 2 choices, which would you all prefer? Let's do south elevation, raise your hand. All right, so we have 2, 3. Okay. East elevation facing Halsted, raise your hand. Chat, Zoom. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so my concern with the mural facing Halsted is all the windows, but I asked the artist, Derek Clemens, and he said, right, he said, I asked him, how do you do a mural around windows? And Derek said,
go take a look at the examples.
Okay, well, point taken. We will take a look at the examples. Another question? Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to hog all the question time, but okay then. So we have these 3 different artists, all with different skills and techniques. Will you all be working? Oh, you're not one of them. Will you all be working together?
That's a great question.
Okay.
Yeah. So each team will make so we'll do the inside mural, and then their team will do the outside mural, and then from there we'll make it match. After you guys agree on what you like, yeah, we'll figure out, make it work.
Because they have styles, we have styles, or I have style, and so what he's saying is, it has to be where it doesn't look completely opposite to what each of us is doing. So that's, it's kind of, Uh, we got one group that's exterior, the other group that's interior. We want to complement those territories.
So where will the mural be on the inside? Where is the Carlos? Do you have a picture of the inside of the store? I'm sorry. Where? I am very familiar with the store.
Yeah, I think we're still working that out. That wall right there, once again, I mean, that is I think the north wall on the interior. Is that right? Yes. And so that orange, you can see a piece of the orange to the right. That would be the Halsted wall. That would, so it's still being worked out. But
Moving along. So we get down to business, literally. So the next speaker we will have is Chander. He'll be giving us an overview on the Cook County Source Grant.
Thank you, Kenny. Work. Thank you, Kenny. Looks like we have some issues with the PowerPoint, but is this the correct slide? That's what we have. So yeah, we've had you might be wondering. We've talked about art. We've talked about various real estate developments, and we've kind of left out an important piece of the community, which is the small business owners. And just wanted to briefly explain to you, or briefly inform you about the Cook County Source Grant, which is currently open, but the window is closing very soon. Actually, next Friday, the application closes. So this is the Cook County Source Grant for 2023, and the county has pulled $40 million in grants for small businesses in response to the pandemic, related losses that businesses have suffered over these last several years. So the businesses that would be eligible are for-profit businesses only. And those businesses would, small businesses are defined as businesses with fewer than 20 full-time employees. So that would be non part-time employees, only full-time employees, less than 20. And there will be two types of grants that are available at this time. You would need to show that you had at least made $20,000 in gross revenue in 2019. Those that have made between 20 and 50,000 are eligible to receive up to 10,000 in grants. Also, if you've made more than 50,000, you are eligible to receive up to 20,000 in grants. And there will be some requirements in terms of documentation that you'll have, but just to overview, the county grant, the source grant now is it'll be prioritizing small businesses that are located in suburban Cook County, but particularly the sectors that were hit hardest by COVID. That would be in arts and entertainment, childcare and social assistance, hospitality, food and tourism, retail, and transportation and warehousing. And also they wanted to emphasize that veteran-owned small businesses also would get priority as well. So what documentation do you need? There's 5 documents that you'll have to upload. You'll need a valid photo ID. And like I said, you'll need a 2019 federal tax return and a 2022 federal tax return. But there is an exception with the 2022 federal tax return, actually, that they've allowed, and I'll get to that in a moment, but you also have to have a W-9 form, and you'll have to give a certificate or proof of good standing with the state of Illinois. So in terms of the actual application process, it's not an application where you can do partial application and save it and go back and finish it. It's one where you'll have to have all your documents ready to upload to. So we recommend that you have all your documents together so that you can fill the form out and attach the relevant documents. Of course, if there's some assistance that you need with the application process, we at GAGDC are your partner, that we will help advise at no cost and assist you in the application process. We just ask you to please indicate on the form that we are your referral partner, and we will go into further detail about that. We can go into further detail about that in the future, but just wanted to also just wanted to remind you about the 2022 federal tax return. If you have not filed it as of yet, you can in fact still apply, but you have to show proof of an extension. And also, like I said, you'll have to show your business license and a certificate of good standing. I apologize for the small font here. I just wanted to also add, so you might have a few general questions about the grant. So what does the funding provide for you? You can only use it on business-related expenses. Those would be payroll, adding to your inventory, operating expenses, but you cannot use them for any capital projects, any type of building rehab or addition improvement to the building that you own. So it would be only for the business itself. Also, like I said, with your 2022 tax return, if you have not filed it, the application, you can in fact show proof of a 2022 tax extension, as well as, like I said, your current business license with the state of Illinois and a certificate of good standing. Finally, just wanted to also add that it's not a first come first serve, but at the same time, there's a limited amount of resources, and so there will be a process in which you will be selected. And once your eligibility is confirmed, the administrators will select the grantee through a randomized process. But just wanted to reiterate that the window is currently open, but the application deadline is next Friday, the 25th, by midnight. And this is a great opportunity for small businesses in the community to get assistance, and it's one of many opportunities, but one that is closing very quickly. So if you have any questions or need any assistance, we encourage you to please reach out to us and contact us. We would be happy to help you through the process. And
It's really a simple application. It's made out of like a little smart sheet Excel form that you can access very quickly and complete very quickly, but you do have to have all your documents. If they're not scanned and ready to upload, you're gonna have to pretty much start over. So please, apply for this grant. This is money that's out there. The county had 22,000 applications last year that they were not able to honor because of some things that happened with a few lawsuits, but they've resolved all that and they still have that money too. So please apply.
Is there a monetary amount, minimum or maximum for this grant?
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Is there a monetary max for this grant?
Yes. Actually, the business for employees that have like 10 businesses, or less than 10 employees, you have to have like 22,000 in revenue. So you do have to. It's a revenue limit on here. We forgot to mention that, right? Did you mention that? Okay. Is that what you mean, or you mean something else?
No, I'm saying as far as the grant, how much?
Oh, how much can you receive? Oh, so one is up to $20,000, and one is $10,000. So it's not 100,000. But let me just say really quick, how many nonprofits are here, not for-profits? Raise your hand. Nonprofit businesses, not for-profit. Okay, so the county just released another grant, and we'll make sure that you get that if you've signed the sign-in sheet, that you get the information on this. Is up to $100,000 for capacity building. There will be a lot of capacity building grants out because they realize that nonprofits actually haven't had the same amenities as some of the for-profit businesses that were impacted by COVID, other than the PPP loans. So look out for that. I'll make sure if you signed the sign-in sheet that you get information on the other Cook County grant for capacity building.
And we encourage you all to reach out to Chandler, please. I've been watching him work hard on this, reaching out to businesses, and you all are here in the room. So get his information, call him, contact him. He'll help walk you through the process.
I do have some flyers if anybody would like them. There's a QR code here where you can get access to the website, but I can also email that to you as well if you'd like, and hand it over to Mr. Anderson.
Hey, you guys, we're going to wrap up. But before we go, and speaking of deadlines, tomorrow is the 18th at midnight is the deadline for the recovery and NOF grant. So if you're almost done, get it in. If you need to call us, Norma and I will definitely help you try to cross that finish line and get those applications in. I do want to talk briefly about our iconic 79th Street Renaissance Festival. It's our 18th year. It's the safest place to be on that day. It'll be September 9th of this year from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. A lot of you guys are, own businesses. You're business owner. I'm gonna stop looking at you in a second. But this festival was created by Carlos Nelson and Cheryl Johnson to really showcase the businesses in our community. I mean, we could get McDonald's to come out, and we did in the past, but they do pretty good on marketing, I would say. But we really want to focus on you guys. We want to focus on you guys specifically, and just promoting what you guys are doing, like Blue. We want to promote the clinic, the Rajones, but we want you guys to come out. We have about 20,000 in attendance. It is an awesome time. It feels like you're somewhere else when we're partying that night. We're closing out with Anthony Hamilton. We have a magnificent gospel lineup that we do every year. A lot of our community partners are there. It's a great place to network. I'm gonna stop looking at you guys individually. We got a new restaurant that just opened up on 87th and Racine. This gentleman back here is helping lead the way. So we gotta support them. I really need you to fill out an application. We'll put the information in this chat, but we need you guys to come out and show out, and let the people know you're here, and let the people know you're not going anywhere. And we need to taste that food. We need to know about these services offered at these clinics. And this is your community, and it's your time to be with the members and those shakers and movers in your community. And I'm gonna jump off this microphone. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Miss Norma Sen. Close it out. Should we close it out with the video for the Renaissance Fest promotion?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Dougie Fresh.
Yes!
Have you ever seen a show with fellas on the mic with 1 minute rhymes that don't come out right? They bite.
They never write.
That's not polite. Am I lying?
No, you're quite right.
Well, tonight, on the story mic, you're about to hear.
We swear, the best star rappers of the year.
So
cheerio,
yell,
scream bravo. Also, if you didn't know, this is called the show.
Hey, yo, Doug.
What?
Put your valleys on.
No, Rick, I was about to, but I need a shoe home.
Why?
Because the shoes always hurt my thumb.
6 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on. On. day.
Man, you did it again. Oh no.
Here we go. Come on. Here we go. Come on. Here we go.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Well, don't get us wrong.
Excuse me, Dougie. Excuse me, Dougie. Excuse me, Dougie, fresh you're on.
Wanna reach